You know, choosing a medical transportation provider, it might seem like just another item on a long logistical checklist. But honestly, it's one of the most high-stakes decisions a healthcare facility can make. If you get it wrong, the consequences can be, well, pretty severe. But if you get it right, you make that entire chain of patient care rock solid. So how do you make sure you get it right? Let's break it down.
Just think about that for a second. You and your team have provided incredible care. You've stabilized a patient and you've perfectly coordinated their discharge. But does your responsibility and, more importantly, their journey just end the second they pass through your doors? Of course not. Not really.
And this quote, man, it just hits the nail on the head. That last step, that ride home or to another facility, it's not just a ride. It is a critical and often really vulnerable part of the healthcare process itself.
And when that final step gets overlooked, the whole care journey is suddenly at risk. It becomes this moment of huge liability for your facility and, even more importantly, a moment of real risk for the patient. Okay, think of it like this. The entire patient experience is a chain, right? Every single link, from admission to diagnosis to treatment, it all has to be strong. Well, that transport provider, they are the final link. And if that link is weak, if the provider is unsafe or just unreliable, the whole chain can break, and that can lead to patient harm, infuriating delays in discharge, and some really serious compliance failures. And just so we're all on the same page here, we're talking about NEMT. That's non-emergency medical transportation. This isn't about ambulances in a crisis. It's about that absolutely vital service that makes sure patients get to and from their care safely and on time. Okay, so how do you avoid that weak link? How do you make sure your partner is just as dedicated to patient safety as you are? Well, it's not about luck. It's not about crossing your fingers and hoping for the best. It's about having a solid, systematic framework for vetting them. And this is really the whole point. You have the power to protect your patients, to protect your facility. And it all comes down to being diligent and asking the right questions before you even think about signing a contract. So here's the game plan. It's a 6-step framework that gives you a clear guide to a safer partnership. We're going to walk through each one: compliance, insurance, drivers, vehicles, communication, and finally, accountability. Think of this as your roadmap. All right, let's dive in and turn this framework into some real actionable questions. For each of these 6 areas, we're going to boil it all down to the one critical question you absolutely have to ask. First up, licensing and regulatory compliance. Look, this is the ground floor, the absolute bedrock. An NEMT provider operates in a regulated space for a very good reason. It's all about ensuring a baseline of safety for patients. This is completely non-negotiable. And this is so important. Don't just take their word for it. You have to ask directly, and you have to verify. Do they have all the required state licenses? Are their vehicles and services totally compliant with the Americans with Disabilities Act? This is your absolute baseline. All right, number 2, insurance coverage. This isn't just about paperwork. It is the critical safety net that protects your facility, your staff, and your patients if and when something goes wrong. An underinsured provider isn't just a risk. They're a massive liability waiting to happen. And when you look at their insurance, there are 3 things that are totally non-negotiable. You have to see certificates for commercial auto liability, general liability, and workers' compensation. If a provider gives you any hesitation at all about showing you these, that is a major, major red flag. Okay, let's talk about the people behind the wheel, the drivers. These folks are a direct extension of your facility's care. To that patient, for the duration of that trip, the driver is part of their healthcare team. Their professionalism is everything. And the question you've got to ask really gets to the heart of it. Are you just hiring a person who can drive, or are you hiring a trained professional? You need to confirm they don't just run background checks, but that they also provide that critical training on how to safely help passengers with all sorts of mobility needs. So you've got the driver, but what about the vehicle they're driving? The vehicle itself is a huge part of patient safety. A clean, well-maintained, and properly equipped vehicle isn't just nice to have, it's a direct reflection of that provider's professionalism. Seriously, ask to see their maintenance logs. Ask about their inspection schedule. This isn't you being difficult, it's you making sure that the physical space your patient is about to get into is safe and up to standard. Okay, number 5 is a big one: communication. Let's talk day-to-day. You know how it is. Bad communication from a transport provider can create total chaos for your discharge planners.
It can back up your entire workflow. Everything hinges on clear, established communication. You need to know what happens when a driver is running late. Who do you call? Is there an escalation path? What's the actual pickup window, not just a vague guess? A professional partner will have clear, documented answers for all of this. That's what stops the logistical nightmares. And last but definitely not least, number 6, documentation and accountability. A truly great partner doesn't just promise they'll do a good job, they prove it with data. Proper documentation is the sign of a professional operation that stands behind its work.
So, you've got to ask them, can you show me the data? Ask for performance metrics, things like on-time percentages. This data is how you verify quality over time, track their performance, and hold them accountable to the standards you both agreed on.
So when you put all 6 of these pieces together, you see what's happening, right? You're not just hiring a taxi service. You're building a reliable partnership that actively makes your continuity of care stronger. And when you look at it that way, the choice becomes very, very clear. I mean, it really boils down to this, doesn't it? The choice is so clear. On one side, you have an unvetted vendor, and that path leads to patient risk, discharge delays, and serious liability issues. But on the other side, you have a properly vetted partner, and that path leads to patient safety, operational efficiency, and real continuity of care. And that really leaves us with one final crucial question you have to ask yourself. Take a hard look at your current process. Is your transport provider just another vendor on a list you call? Or have you truly vetted them to be a real, trusted extension of your care team? The answer to that question, well, it makes all the difference in the world.